Matt Lenihan, Boxing Social, in association with Empire Fight Star, our Kings. Always a pleasure. Dalton Smith, another local show. Thank God. You know how nice it's been to be back in and around this vicinity for the last couple of weeks. It's been great.
You said that when you fly into Vegas and living your life up there, you're not complaining, are you?
Mate, do you know what? Genuinely, like, I've done it quite a lot this year. So to know that last week, this week, next week,
it's just up the road. It's all right, isn't it?
You know what? It makes a nice change for home comforts. Look, how's things going? We know kind of where you're at and what you're waiting for, but what's this period for you like now, knowing, look, there ain't going to be a fight scheduled, you're waiting to see what happens between Puello and Matias, but is it just a case of literally seeing what happens?
Literally that. And, you know, obviously I've been active this year, two fights. So obviously you don't want to become too stale, but lucky I've got those fights under my belt, and then we'll just see. We'll see what happens with that fight. But you know, I want that world title next, 100%.
Well, look, that fight's coming up. That fight's coming up soon. Puello and Matias, and that sort of has huge implications for you because it shows where your future lies. When you look at that fight as a whole, do you have a preference? I know we've spoke about Puello before, but are you bothered, or is it just a case of, look, we just need that belt going in media wall?
That's all it is. We just want that belt on the line. At this level of boxing, you can't think, oh, I want this guy, I want that guy. Once you're at that level, you've got to fight everyone. You've got to prove that you're good enough to do that. So, look, whoever it is, we'll be ready.
Absolutely. A lot of interesting things happening, obviously. A fighter that you've been linked with as well domestically, Jack Cattrall. I think you've just seen him walk by. And yeah, you know what? I saw him and thought, do I drag him in and start calls? But he's got his press conference next week against Harlem. What do you make of him entering the welterweight division and taking on Benn-Eubank? Interesting little clash, that.
Yeah, it's a good little fight. You know, obviously, you always thought Jack could have moved up. He's been at that weight a long time, and obviously to try and get the bigger fights weight above. But overall, I think it's a good fight. You know, I favour Jack in that. I think he probably could get just inside the distance. I just feel like Jack's that too many levels above Harlem. You know, but I think they are both still good fighters. You know, a little bit of a clash of styles, but you know, we'll see. I'll be interested to watch it.
Do you look at that and go, you know, maybe one day, you mentioned there off camera, look, if this starts dragging its heels, you can't say stagnant. You've seen the benefit of being active. No matter what anyone says about opponents, ring activity is vital to make sure you. How important is that for you, just from a personal point of view, regardless of opponent? Even you said last time after the fight, I wanted the rounds, Matt. The guy I fought before was over and done. I wanted the rounds, but how much better did you feel knowing, look, I have had that sort of seasoning where I've been the distance instead of just blasting someone out and around?
Exactly, like you say, you always want to knock someone out. You know, sometimes because of the distance, you feel a bit underwhelmed because you wanted to get them out of there, but you know, it's boxing. You need those rounds under your belt, and you know, we knew Matthew Jermaine was going to give us the rounds. He just made it. He was a little bit negative in there, but you know, I was buzzing to get the rounds in.
This fight that's coming up, who do you think wins the fight between Puello? And I forgot to ask you, Puello and Matias. Looking at it, Puello, you know, good fighter. So is Matias, but do you look at that fight and go, I know who wins the fight, or?
A little bit. I think styles make fights, and you know, obviously Matias has got this aura about him. He's this killer, this and that. I said before when the Paro fight happened, I says don't be surprised if Paro beats him. You know, I've seen weaknesses in his style, and you know, I feel like that style what Puello's got will make it horrible for him, and he'll steal the rounds and just do enough. So I'll favour him in that one.
Have you spoke to Eddie to say, look, once that fight is done and dusted, let's get on these guys straight away, because like you say, if you can't get that fight, will you look at like the alternates? I know you're good at the weight, but do you ever look and go, I might jump up there as well? The welterweight division's getting stacked at the minute. We've seen Josh Taylor bounce up there as well, so there's lots of big fights. Do you ever look at that and go, maybe we could look at that, just in the time being?
Of course, but you know, I've got a long time in boxing. You know, I want a world title. I want to win a world title, and then we'll get those fights. But like you said, I'm here to be in boxing for many more years. So yeah, whether we've got to move up a weight to get some big fights, you know, stay at this weight, you know, of course, there's many options for us.
What do you make of Manny Pacquiao coming out of retirement? 46, by the way. I mean, I spoke to a lot of people. From my point of view, I look at it and go, wow, and he's skipped the rankings, done this. From a selfish point in media, I never got to cover Manny, so I'm thinking, I might get to go see the fight. But just talk to me about it. He's going straight in there with Mario Barrios, been ranked, I think, putting straight in at number 5. I'm sure when you're in that top 10, you're looking, going, well, I've been moved out for this, but he's got that sort of legends pass of, look, we know what you've
That's
done.
the
But
thing, as a boxer sitting there, all these have worked hard and got in that position. It is a bit shit. But then on the other hand, it's Manny Pacquiao. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like if Mayweather comes back, he's eligible to fight for a world title. Do you know, it doesn't surprise you because, like you said, the stardom they've got in boxing, that's why they're able to do it. And you kind of argue it a little bit because it's like, look what they've achieved throughout boxing. It's massive what they've done. So, like you say, I'm on you. It's a selfish part saying, yeah, but it's Manny Pacquiao. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying a favourite, I just want to put that out there, but I'm more of it looking at it from a point of view of myself who never got to see him live, thinks, wow, I know it won't be the same version, but I get to see him. Yeah.
Still Manny.
Do you think, obviously, Barrios in that division, I don't want to say he's the weakest champion because he's a fantastic fighter, shared the ring with a lot of good fighters, but do you look at that and say, well, if he used to come back and fight someone, it's his most winnable one?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because like you say, I think he did that exhibition 4 years ago and he just looked slow. It's an old man. Like you can't beat age. Like boxing's a young man's sport, isn't it?
If you see him go there and do a job on Barrios, though, are you looking at that going, stick him in again, or do you just hope that whatever happens and he leaves gracefully?
If he beats him, then I'm on to Sean O'Toole saying, get me to fight with Manny Pacquiao. Imagine that.
Well, Hillsborough for that, you think?
Imagine me at Hillsborough with Manny Pacquiao, but come on, he's 46, isn't he? Like,
but you know what? Say put that into perspective. Say he goes out there, and I'm not saying this is happening, by the way. Yeah. Blasts Barrios out, whatever. Phone rings up. Dalton.
It's a no-brainer.
It's
a no-brainer. It's like to fight Manny Pacquiao, crazy, man.
Was he one of your sort of go-tos growing up when you were coming through the ranks?
He was the man back then. Obviously, the Ricky Hatton days, the Oscar De La Hoya, all them fights. Obviously, I was at that age growing up there with the killers, weren't they?
Yeah. Who did you favour growing up when the big talk was about, obviously, Manny, Floyd, all them guys?
I used to like Manny more than Floyd.
Yeah. Why?
Because
when I was growing up, I had this. It's not about me, but I had a mate who was like die-hard Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, he was a Mayweather fan.
Yeah, I was opposite side, so we and him used to argue. Literally, we'd be it when I used to work in retail. Yeah, cat and dog every day. Like this is why, and you were on that fence.
Yeah, I was a Manny supporter. I always knew Floyd had beat him. I always knew Floyd had beat him, but obviously I was favouring Manny Pacquiao more as a fighter.
Where do you think he sits when you talk about the all-time greats, your Roy Jones, your Sugar Ray Robinsons? I know you know your boxing, but
he's got to be up there in the top 10. Like, look what he's achieved, the weights he went through. He's got to be in the top 10 for sure.
Last one from me. Looks like we're going to see Benn-Eubank in September. Well, fight first time out, by the way. I think people had question marks, but I think everything that went into it, the discussion of a weight and all that, kind of all played a part in making it what it was. If it's all the same conditions and we see the same restrictions and we see the same weight, who do you favour? Do you favour Chris Eubank? Do you favour Conor Benn? What do you think? I just think it'll be a mirror of the first fight. Obviously, it depends with the weights, if anything like that. If the weights get changed, I'd favour Eubank. So I feel like that's what let him down a little bit in the first fight. But I just think styles make fights, and them two have got a style what's always going to be a war. Last one, sorry. Ed Hardy tonight, by the way. A learning fight for him as well. Managed to get a few rounds because I've heard about his strength and he's got freakish power. Obviously, working on them farms, he's a strong boy, but he's coming out of his shell a bit now. Saw him in a tractor before he got in here. What do you make of him? You're in the gym with him daily. Yeah, he's a lovely lad. Obviously, works hard. He's quiet, but mate, he's going to be one hell of a fighter. Yeah. He's like one of the old school. He's nothing flashy. He turns up in his gilet, his green shorts. He pulls up in his tractor and comes and kicks arse. So it fits well in your gym. I think like everyone will say it's quite you walk in, it's everyday people kind of thing, and he's one of them. And you walk in, doesn't say much, but he's a killer. He works in the morning, jumps in his pickup, comes to the gym. He's back grafting again after that. Ed's a lovely lad. Well, look, we look forward to seeing what happens with your future. Obviously, Puello-Matias got to do a job, and then fingers crossed we can secure that big fight for you. I know you said you fight on the moon, but ideally in the UK, but willing to travel. Good man, appreciate it. Pleasure as always.